Hey, what's up, my friends? John Hidley here with the Tactical Dent YouTube channel and the Tactical Dent Tech Facebook group, bringing you guys another tutorial here. As you can see, a nice golf ball shot on this door. This is not only a deep ding, but it also has paint damage inside of there. Now, I don't show you in the beginning. I actually do run a buffer over this spot. In fact, the little flex 1-inch buffer that you're going to see later on in this training, I actually buff that out before I get started. So that way I can see the center of the dent. Otherwise, there would be a white cloudy imprint. Now, this one does have a little bit of a paint impression, meaning that whatever hit it didn't just leave transfer, which was the white on the inside of the dent, but it also left me with a little bit of an etch in the paint. So you can see here, I've got our board set up, and I'm going to be using these new compact hub tools. As you can see, I'm going to go down like this into the door and twist push, simply because there is laminated glass in this door panel. Go ahead and put the compact hub on. And I'm trying to avoid leveraging off the edge of that glass. Now, I do have the carbon fiber window guard in here by VIP. It hangs really low, and so that is also going to protect the window inside of this Toyota 4Runner, this brand new 4Runner. Okay, so this is going to be a very close-up training, and I did this intentionally. I want you all to see the actual pushes. Now, I mean, this is zoomed up big time on this dent, and I really want you to pay attention to my pushes. You can see here that they're nice and soft, and what I'm doing is I'm just really just sending the center of this damage up without much collateral damage. If you use a sharper tip, it's going to take way longer. Now, I did determine that this, although it looked like it could potentially be an oil can dent, I went in there and kind of felt it out with this soft tip, and it's definitely not an oil can dent. I mean, you can really push on this, and you're not going to have the issue of oil canning, which is really good because a deep dent like this, there's always that potential. And a lot of it has to do with the placement. It's kind of on the edge of a curve on this panel. And because it's on that curve, it's stronger, more stabilized. Technically, it would be on a bit of a convex. So you can see literally within that amount of time, this is real time, this is not sped up. Look how much of the dent is removed already. Incredible amount. Now, you guys can't really see it. It's very hard to see. I mean, you can if you zoom up even a little bit more on this, but there is an actual paint etch in the panel. You kind of see it towards the back side of the dent, almost like a line that goes straight up and down. That is an actual small paint etch, and to get that out, that is going to take a little bit of wet sanding and polishing. But I do not want to go that route yet. So I want to get a majority of this dent repaired before we go in and get out that little paint etch or that line. And you'll see this a lot. You'll see a little bit of transfer on a dent. And then once you buff out that transfer, there might be a tiny little bit of an etch in the paint. Now, I'm seeing this much more in today's paints. Again, this is a 2025 4Runner, brand new. No, actually, I'm sorry. I keep saying 2025. This is a 2026 4Runner. And in this day and age, the paints are softer. In fact, the little board that you see me put on there, that reflective board that you see me put on this panel in the beginning, you've got to watch with today's newer paints. That will actually leave an imprint in the paint. It has something to do with this. They got this like self-healing, self-correcting paint. But if you ever do happen to get that imprint on the paint, like it looks almost like your suction cup board or the suction cup for your light imprints itself into the paint, all you got to do is flash it with a torch and it should disappear. So now you're actually really able to see that etch in the paint right there on that back side. you kind of see me knocking down around it. I doubt that you'll find many tutorials out there on YouTube that is this up close and personal. I mean, I just wanted to really get in on this dent, showing the detail, the fine detail. All right, so you can see my tip changed. I didn't show it because I left the camera on this dent. I really wanted this camera to be on this dent the entire time, but I'm using the same tool. I just screwed on a bullet tip on it. These brand new Anson Compact Hubs are incredible, especially this door series that has all of these different curves. It changes the game on doors. I mean, it really does. So you've got the availability to not only, put the soft tip on it that it comes with, but you can change it, take it off, and use a bullet tip. Now, on a lot of these, I'll go in with a soft tip, then I'll go in with a bullet tip, and then a little bit later, you're going to see me go in with a much sharper tip to finish it out. A little bit of knockdown work here. The only time that I will use a sharp tip to start a dent this size is if it has a potential to oil can. What does that mean? Well, that means that when you push the dent, it is so deep and it's in such a flimsy area of the panel that the dent can't absorb the pushes and essentially mold into the surrounding panel without oil canning, meaning that it'll either pop high or go low. And in that case, I will use sharper tools to start the dent, simply because I'm trying to really shrink the metal with them sharp tips. All right, you can see here, still using that bullet tip, being very careful, very careful. One little push at a time. Now, the challenge of this is my camera is way lower than my head. So although, yes, you are seeing the dent come out in detail, you're not exactly seeing it from my vantage point. So because of that, if you're an experienced dent technician, you might say to yourself, well, why didn't he push there? Or why didn't, he push in this particular spot? Well, it's different when you're looking at it from a different angle. So I'm seeing the dent quite differently than what you're seeing it here. But I love the way this plays out. And I love the detail of this particular tutorial. So you can see we are left with some little tiny orange peel here. I mean, if you look at the surrounding orange peel, I backed up my light a little bit so you can take a look at that. But if you look at the surrounding orange peel, I mean, it's getting close. And when I zoom up this close, I mean, you're seeing detail that you're going to have a hard time seeing with your naked eye. The camera picks up even more detail than your own naked eye. So here we go. Getting everything set. This is the beautiful part about doing a lot of video. I personally think video will make you a better technician. There's times, guys, when I've finished a dent and I've looked at it and I deemed that it was finished, and I'll go through and do the after with the video, and I'll be like, oh, I'll notice a little flicker, or I will see something that I didn't see previously from one of the angles that I'm shooting the video, so I'll go back and fix it, and I'll actually utilize it as a referencing tool to, if I find anything in the panel or anything that I need to fix, I'll see that on the video, and then I'll come back in and fix it, and then I'll actually take another after shot. Yeah, so these dents can be intimidating for some PDR techs that are just starting out. And, I mean, even if you are a seasoned PDR tech, you know that when shots on the door get about this size, that they can be difficult. But the truth be told, I really think the metal on these are so good. It's so good, such nice metal. So it's partially the metal of the new Forerunners, and then also using these new Anson tools. And the fact that you really can't see it, but it's on the back end of a convex. And if you really look at the beginning, when I show the before dent, you see that convex that it's on. And so we're actually reshaping it to the shape of the panel. And I believe that, not only that I believe, but I know that anytime there's a convex on a door or there's a bend in the door, that particular area is going to be stronger than a flat, flimsy panel. If it's flat and it's really flimsy, you always have the chance of that dent going sideways on you, potentially oil canning, putting you in a situation that can be quite dramatic. Or let's just say traumatic. It's dramatic and traumatic. There we go. Doing some knockdown work. All right, you guys can kind of get an overview here of what my knockdown work looks like. And ultimately, this is me removing the tripod, removing the camera, because right here where my head is at, that is where the camera was. So I was looking at the dent from up top as I was pushing down into the door. And I needed this straight visual coming in here. And I could see a little spot because it's right here, just right here on the edge of this convex. It's so funny. You see the little glue string hanging from my hammer? You can actually see that dancing around from here. Hey, that's what happens when you're glue pulling all the time. But this allows me to get way, way far back and to get any little wave in that panel. So we're talking about it, right here in that convex, it being just a little bit stronger, that it's in that nice little curve. You kind of see how the panel goes down to the edge of the door, and then it kind of curves up. And it's right there in the middle of that blend where this damage was. And anytime that you've got a few different bends in that panel, you're going to get a little bit of strength right there. It's a very gradual contour, but there's a little bit of a contour there. If it was probably 5 inches further back and a little bit lower, it would have been in an area that would have more potential to oil can than this particular area. So what I'm using here is toll cut, and that is a 1500 toll cut. And what I'm doing is I'm removing the etch that was in the paint originally. Now, there was a dent down lower, and I did not record that on this tutorial. I only had a certain amount of time to do so, to record this tutorial. And so you might see me buff down there a little bit, and that's just me, getting that particular area buffed up. In fact, you can't really see it from this angle because it's down below the actual frame, but that dent is still in there, but it also had a little scuff in the panel, so I buffed that out as well. I do repair it before I do the finishing video. So you can see here that I am using the Flex 1-inch buffing tool. And so that's a 1.5-inch pad. It's a 1-inch backing plate. That's the Flex. I love this thing. You got less splatter. It's not as aggressive as the the Milwaukee buffer that many people use. This one's much easier to control. I love that it's got the 1-inch head. It also has a 1-inch head that I can put on there if I want to put the sanding pad actually on the tool, which is really good if you've got to aggressively get some sort of scuff or scratch out of a panel and you need a little bit more horsepower behind it. It makes for a great tool. And the fact is that you can actually change out the head of that tool, which I'm going to do here in just a minute. And you can go in and use it as a like a random orbital tool. So this is me just getting everything cleaned up, taking a look at the panel. Now that's the first step that I use. This particular car, I mean, it's beautiful. It's black, very deep black, very beautiful finish on it. And black typically requires 3 steps. So you're going to see me do a 3-step polish on this panel. And we're going to do the second step, which is what I use is I use the 3-step Koschemi, which I start off with the red, cutting compound. The red bottle is the cutting compound. This right here is the yellow bottle. So this has a little bit of cut in it, but it also has a ton of polish in there. So the shine factor is much more than the cut. And when you're using the first step, the cut is much more than the shine. And if you look at Koschemi, they've actually got it on the bottle. It tells how much cut versus how much shine is going to be left on that panel. And you guys can see here, this is the 3-inch backing plate on that same tool that you've seen. The beautiful thing is it's easy. It literally comes off and on as easy as a socket, like a socket on a tool. Yeah, you kind of see me buffing down below. So it's very easy to take on, very easy to change the heads on that. And what you're going to see me is I'm going to come back with the Rupes with the final step. People ask me, they say, would you rather have the Rupes or would you rather have the flex tool? Well, to be honest with you, the flex tool will do exactly what the Rupes will do, but the Rupes is just known for its ability to polish without leaving any holograms. And so I just trust the Rupes to do the final step. So I'm going to come in here and use that on the final step. And that is all the pads I'm using are Rupes pads. And the Rupes pad that I'm using here is a final polish. What I'm literally doing is the equivalent of a high-end paint correction on this particular part of the panel. Now, I had a guy that asked me if I always buff. Well, I only wet sand when it's needed. And this one needed it because of the scuff that you've seen that was in the paint. I'm not going to fix a dent on somebody's car and leave a etch in their paint when it can look like brand new. So that's the goal. And now you see me just finishing it up with the Rupes, and this thing will be hologram free. And you can kind of see right there. Look at the finished results. I love showing the reflection on this because the truth of the matter is this reflection is what clients are going to be looking at the vehicle in. This is where they natively see the reflection. Now you can really see the curvature that I'm telling you about. Where the dent was located has a massive convex in that panel. You see that as I'm passing through with the reflection, that huge convex that's in the panel. In my opinion, that is it for today's training, my friends. As usual, I appreciate you, and I'll see you on the next one.